Hello friends, how are you doing? And I hope you really are doing good. Okay, so today we are going to discuss some of the NEET pattern exercises of digestion and absorption. Okay, let us see some few questions about these NEET pattern exercises, right? So let us read the first question. One of the main thing, sometimes, as I keep on telling you, the questions will be very simple. Sometimes what they do, the answers will be there in the question itself. You just need to read it very well and the answers will be there. Anyways, we will start. Fructose is absorbed. Okay, they have asked this many times in the exams. Fructose. Okay. So fructose is absorbed into the blood through the mucosa cells of the intestine by the process called as the active transport. Yes. Does it have what is active transport? Active transport requires the presence of ATP, right? The presence of energy that is in the form, okay, that is ATP, right? Facilitated transport. Okay, yes, facilitated transport. What do we see here? Facilitated transport is a transport which is actually a type of the passive transport, that is no active energy will be utilized here. And what we see, there are the presence of the transmembrane proteins. Okay, there are the presence of the transmembrane proteins with the help of which the substance is transferred from one side to the other. Okay. So what will we see here is facilitated transport is a type of passive transport okay. So facilitated transport is a type of passive transport in which no active energy that is ATP will be utilized. Okay. In the facilitated transport, there will be the there are carrier molecules. In the facilitated transport, there are carrier molecules. Facilitated transport, there are carrier molecules. Okay. Which help in the transport of substances. Okay, which help in the transport of substances. Okay. So facilitated transport is a type of passive transport in which no active energy, that is ATP, will be utilized. And in the facilitated transport, there are carrier molecules which will help in the transport of substances, right? So mostly what we will see mostly these carrier molecules, these carrier molecules are integral proteins, okay, intermembrane protein channels are integral are intermembrane, okay, are intermembrane protein channels, right. So mostly these carrier molecules are intermembrane protein channels. For example, what are these intermembrane protein channels? If this is the membrane, okay, this is, we all know it's a lipid bilayer, okay, phospholipid bilayer, and so across this layer these will be the integral proteins, okay, which will be embedded here, and across this the transport of substances will take place. So this will bind to this, and sometimes what happens, there will be protein molecules sometimes over here, right. So these protein molecule will bind to the substance which has to be transported, and it will come here all across, it will leave the substance, and then get back after unbinding, right. So facilitate transport, yes, fructose is absorbed into the blood through the mucosa cells of the intestine by the process which is called as the facilitated transport, right. Simple diffusion is always through the, without the presence of ATP, okay, it's a passive transport, co-transport mechanism, okay. So facilitated transport is what will be the answer here, and co-transport is transportation of two substances, okay, there will be transportation of two substances together. So fructose is that of the facilitated transport, right. Now we will move on to the next question and see what the next question is. Which one of the following pairs of food components in humans reach the stomach totally undigested, right. So what this is asking, which one of the following pairs of the food components reach the stomach totally undigested. So it's asking that it has till the stomach the food component has to be undigested. So what will we see? First of all, let's talk about the starch. The starch component. Now we will see that the starch is present in a normal food, right, in a normal food molecule, and our saliva has an enzyme called the salivary amylase, also called as the ptyalin, okay. So our saliva has an enzyme called as, okay, so our saliva has an enzyme called as salivary amylase, called as, right. So our saliva has an enzyme called as salivary amylase, which will be digesting the starch, present, the starch in the oral cavity. Right. Also, when we see after the oral cavity, it will reach to the esophagus, and from the esophagus it will reach the stomach. So the action of the salivary amylase, okay, it is also called as ptyalin, salivary amylase is also called as ptyalin, right. So salivary amylase is also called as ptyalin. What we will see that the action of the salivary amylase or ptyalin will continue even in the stomach. The action of salivary amylase continues even in the stomach. Okay. So, one thing is for sure that yes, what is it that the starch is already has started digesting in the mouth oral cavity, okay, in the oral cavity, the buccopharyngeal cavity you can also call it as, and hence starch cannot be the component. What about the cellulose, the cellulose? Right. The cellulose has a beta, the cellulose has a beta 1,4 linkage, has a beta 1,4 linkage. The cellulose has a beta 1,4 linkage, and hence the cellulose has a beta 1,4 linkage, and hence there should be the presence, and hence there should be the presence of beta 1,4 hydrolyzing enzyme which is absent in vertebrates, which is absent in vertebrates. So, the cellulose has the beta 1,4 linkage, and hence there should be the presence of beta 1,4 hydrolyzing enzyme, which is absent in vertebrates. Thus, cellulose digestion is absent in man. Cellulose digestion is absent in man. So, this will be one of the constituents when we say that it reaches the stomach totally undigested. Then we can talk about the protein. Yes, the protein digestion does start in the in the stomach, the proteases and all, because the proteases and it forms because in the stomach there will be the formation of the different compounds. And then finally we talk about the the fat. So, the fat digestion will take place in the small intestine. The fat digestion takes place in the small intestine. Right. So, the fat digestion takes place in the small intestine, and protein digestion, protein digestion will be taking place in the stomach as well, right. So, which one of the following pairs of food components in humans reach the stomach totally undigested? In this we can say that the starch. So, we have to choose one, we chose fat, and the other one is the cellulose, right. So, this will be the correct option for this, that is fat and cellulose. I hope for the first one I gave you the answer, right, the facilated transport, right, that for the first one it was this, and for the second one it is fat and cellulose. The gastric lipase is there, but the gastric lipase is very because the conditions are not there for it to work at such an efficiency. So, we almost consider it to be working at almost negligible. So, hence the fat will be absorbed and digested only after the stomach. So, now we go on to the third question, that which one of the following is a fat soluble vitamin and its related deficiency diseases. right. So, when we are talking about the fat soluble vitamin, what we will see, first of all let us talk about what are fat soluble vitamins. Okay. Fat soluble vitamins. Okay. Vitamin A, D, E and K, these are all fat soluble vitamins, right. Vitamin A, D, while the other one like vitamin C, okay, vitamin C, vitamin B complex and all that, those will be the water soluble vitamins, right. So, vitamin A, that is what is written, retinol, vitamin A, retinol. Also called retinol, okay, and we have already seen in the discussion when we spoke about the chapter that yes, the deficiency of retinol, the deficiency of vitamin A in children leads to night blindness. That is, that is also called as nyctalopia. Okay, also called as nyctalopia. So, the deficiency of vitamin A in children, leads to night blindness, okay, also called as nyctalopia. However, the deficiency in adults, the deficiency of vitamin A in adults leads to xerophthalmia. Okay. So, the deficiency of vitamin A in adults leads to xerophthalmia. So, when we are talking about this deficiency of vitamin A, there are many symptoms. Okay. For example, the Bitot spot. So, when we are talking about the vitamin A deficiency, that is the retinol, and they say the cod liver oil is a very great source of vitamin A. Okay. Cod liver oil is a great source of vitamin A. Okay. So, vitamin A deficiency will also manifest as Bitot spot, right. So, vitamin A deficiency will also manifest as Bitot spot, and complication, okay, and may lead to complications, okay, and may lead to complications like corneal ulceration, right, like corneal ulceration and opaqueness, like corneal ulceration and opaqueness. So, vitamin A deficiency will also manifest as Bitot spot and may lead to complications like corneal ulceration and the opaqueness. right. Now scurvy, vitamin C deficiency, we know that, okay, there will be bleeding gums and what all, there will be bleeding gums and swelling of the gums and all that, right. Vitamin C is a very important source for the collagen formation, collagen, and hence its deficiency will lead to collagen disorders, right. Very okay. And and pellagra is also very important, because yes, the pellagra is actually the 4 Ds will be there, okay, dementia, dermatitis, and finally the death, right. So now we move on to the next question. Secretin and cholecystokinin are digestive hormones that are secreted. They are secreted where? Okay. So, secretin and cholecystokinin are digestive hormones, right. So, first of all, both the secretin and the cholecystokinin, they are digestive hormones that are secreted in the duodenum, okay. They are secreted in the, so the answer of this would be duodenum. And duodenum we know is the first part of the small intestine, the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. The duodenum is that part of the small intestine which is uncoiled, okay. Then starts the highly coiled part, right. So we can say both the digestive enzymes, okay, that is secretin and cholecystokinin, right. Both the digestive enzymes, that is secretin and cholecystokinin, are secreted, okay. They are secreted in the duodenum part of small intestine, okay. So they are secreted in the duodenum part of small intestine, and then what we will see that, yes. So let's talk about the cholecystokinin first of all. The cholecystokinin is responsible for the contraction of gallbladder, okay. Cholecystokinin is responsible for the contraction of gallbladder, and we know the gallbladder is the place where the bile is stored. The bile is formed in the liver but stored in the gallbladder. We have done this, okay, the cystic duct and all that. So cholecystokinin is responsible for the contraction of gallbladder, right, for the contraction of gallbladder where the bile is stored, right. So cholecystokinin is responsible for the contraction of gallbladder where the bile is stored. This bile is formed in liver, okay. So this bile is formed in the liver. Hence the bile would be secreted, or the bile would be now would be poured into the gastrointestinal tract, okay, would be poured into the gastrointestinal tract, and make the content alkaline, right, and make the content alkaline, because this alkaline medium, okay, the nature, the alkalinity has to be there, okay, right. Yes, you might wonder, no acidity in the stomach and alkalinity here, but yes, the alkalinity has to be there, so that alkalinity has to be maintained, okay. The alkalinity has to be maintained for the for the pancreatic enzymes and the intestinal enzymes to act upon in the GIT, okay. So what will we see next is that the secretin hormone, right. Secretin hormone are responsible. Secretin hormone are responsible. Okay, secretin hormone are responsible for the secretion of pancreatic juice which has pancreatic enzymes, right, which has pancreatic enzymes. Okay, so secretin hormone are responsible for the secretion of pancreatic juice which has pancreatic enzymes, and it is this pancreatic enzymes which has different I mean for the secretion carboxypeptidase and all that, or enterokinase and all that, which will help in the digestion, final digestion, right. So secretin called cystokinin and digestive hormones, and they are secreted in the duodenum part of the small intestine. We now move on to the next question, and that is, right, which one of the following is not correctly matched, right. So which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched? This is not, and you should always keep that in mind, okay. So vitamin B12 pernicious anemia, right, or we can also say that as the megaloblastic anemia. See, vitamin B12 and folic acid, they are very important for the maturation of RBC, okay, for the maturation of RBC. Otherwise what will happen, the RBCs would become much large in size and they would be immature, and that would lead to the pernicious anemia, right. Yes, vitamin B1 or thiamine, that will lead to beriberi, and the beriberi can be again of two types, that is a dry beriberi and the wet beriberi. Vitamin C, as I told you, is scurvy, okay. Scurvy, as it's a it's a disease of the connective tissue, okay. There will be an abnormality of the connective tissue because the metabolism of collagen and collagen formation would be completely disturbed here, right. Now vitamin B2 is pellagra, which is completely wrong, okay. So what we see here in vitamin B2 pellagra, right, the deficiency of niacin would lead, right, the deficiency of niacin would lead to a condition called as pellagra, right. The pellagra is represented, okay, the pellagra disease is represented by 4 Ds. So the pellagra is represented by 4 Ds, okay. The pellagra is represented by 4 Ds, and what will we see here? So we will see the dermatitis, right. The dermatitis, that is a disease and infection of the skin, will be seen here in this case. After dermatitis, we are going to see the diarrhea, and after diarrhea, okay, then we will see the dementia, and then after dementia we are going to see the death, right. We are going to see the death, okay. So the deficiency of niacin would lead to a condition called as pellagra, and the pellagra is represented by 4 Ds, that is dermatitis, diarrhea, dementia, and death. Dermatitis is disease and inflammation of the skin, diarrhea, okay, GI tract and loose stools. Dementia is a disorder of the nervous system, okay. There would be a lot, and the death, finally it would result in the death. Vitamin B12, I told pernicious anemia, that is right. Vitamin B1, thiamine, wet and dry beriberi. Vitamin C, scurvy, so only this one is wrong. So the correct, which is not correctly matched, this is not correctly matched, that is the option D is the answer over here. So friends, we will stop here, okay, and in the next session we will continue from here, where we will discuss the next 5 questions. Thank you.